Mod 4 Part 4 notes. These are pages 4 and 5. We've got 4 different examples. I am going to get less and less specific as we go on. If you take a look at the spreadsheet that is in the Mod 4 Part 4 content folder, you will see page, I think it just says page 4, but it has all of this information in Excel. I let Excel do the work for us. Okay, now, first thing I want to do, I've got a histogram up top here. I want to graph it as a box plot. Okay, so let's start with the values that we have. I know up here, the number 1, let's see if I can change this so you can see it, happens 1 time. So in my data set, I've got 1, 1. I know that the value 2 happens 3 times. So if I were going to write this out, I would list the 2 3 times. 3 happens 5 times. 4 happens 3. 5 happens 1. Remember, this is our bell-shaped curve, our normal distribution. So 3, 3, 3, 3, 4. 5 of those. 3 4s, 1 5. Okay. There are ways to use frequencies and how often something happens in Excel. We are not going to do this enough that you want to spend your time doing this. We are looking at the relationship between the shapes when we have a normal-ish or symmetric and uniform distribution than when we have something that is skewed or bimodal. Okay. Now I can find the 5-number summary. Here's my min. Here's my max. Here's my median. Doesn't matter how many times that 3 happens, this is the one that's in the middle. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's where my Q1 is. I guess I should have labeled these as I went. And here's where my Q3 is. So you notice in the graph, I have that bottom whisker starting at 1. My Q1 is 2. My median is 3. Notice here you see this little X in the graph. That is Excel's way of telling you where the mean is. So here this is symmetric. My mean and my median happen in the same place. I have a Q1 here at 4, and then my max up here at 5. Okay. There is the box and whisker plot for that symmetric normal distribution. Graph 2, though, is skewed right. I am not going to take the time writing out all those numbers. Know that 1 happens 4 times, 2 happens 5 times, 3 happens twice, 4 happens once, and 5 happens once. If you would like to pause right now, you can write out that data set, find the 5-number summary. I will tell you that when I did that, here was my 5-number summary. I got 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay. Let's take a look at that box and whisker plot. Notice my minimum and my Q1 are the same number. So I do not have that bottom whisker down here. Notice we start with my box. I've got my 1, 2, 3, and take a look at where the mean is. Remember, we always said mean is pulled towards the tail if our data set is skewed. And right here, we've got that mean pulled towards that upper tail. Okay, so I have 2 boxes, and I have an upper whisker. Bottom whisker and upper whisker are not official mathematical terms. I'm just visually looking at this set. Okay? So when my data is skewed right, I will have that top end whisker. I may not have a bottom end whisker. It may just be really short. Okay? So let's take a look at what happens on graph 3 when we have data that is skewed left. Here, my 5-number summary is 1, 3, 4, 5, 5. Fairly consistent with what we saw on graph 2. My Q3 and maximum are the same value, so notice here I have no upper whisker, right? Because our data is pulled towards that left end tail. So I have my box and I have my lower whisker. And again, notice here my little X. And that's our mean pulled towards the tail. Graph 4, we have a uniform distribution. I guess I should have labeled some of these. Uniform. This one is skewed left. Graph 2 is skewed right. Graph 1 was normal. And we'll define that a little more later. So our uniform distribution, if I were to list this out, 1 happens 3 times, 2 happens 3 times, 3 happens 3 times, 4, and 5. Okay. Not a surprise, my 5-number summary looks like this. Everything's equally spread out. Okay. I get that box plot where all 4 of the chunks are the same size. My mean is in the same place as the median. Looks a whole lot like that first box plot we looked at, the normal distribution.